Hi, I thought that I might make a video to help some of the families that are struggling right now with being on lockdown with your kids. I get it. It can be difficult to be socially isolated with your family. And uh, us autism moms probably know better than most people how that feels. I mean, we've been dealing with this for a long time, a lot longer than the lockdown. Um, the idea that being isolated, not being able to go to parties, to participate in many of the things that many other families take for granted. Now everybody's dealing with this, and it's tough. I get it. So I wanted to offer some help if I could, because I've had a little bit of practice with this. Um, First of all, you need to start with yourself. And that's the hardest place to start, because I think that there's a real tendency to want to fix our children. If you're having behavior problems with your kids, if you're struggling, there's a big tendency to want to go fix your kids. And I have to tell you, that's the first place to start. You need to start with yourself. Because if your kids are driving you crazy, they're just being kids. And it can be really tough to be under one roof with any one person for a long time, especially when those people are little and immature and still growing. And the other thing that is a really hard thing, and you're going to have to come to terms with this pretty quickly, because we all did, is that you're going to have to accept the fact that your child is not going to do the same things that you hoped that they would. They're not going to have the same things. They're not going to be the people that you hoped that they would be. Many of you are struggling with the fact that your kids are never going to be able to walk at their graduation, or go on their senior trip, or go on a camping trip. And I get that pain, because that really sucks. Your kid might not get to go to prom, or go to birthday parties, or the things that we all took for granted as kids. And it's really tough. And you need to give yourself some space to mourn that. And you also need to mourn it not in front of your children. And it's a little hard because you're under the same roof with them. I get that too. My kids were isolated from their social crowds very early on. And it's hard. It's hard because here I'm struggling with my own stuff and trying not to take that out on my children, because the thing is that this isn't their fault. Okay. And you're dealing with this and you need to mourn it, but you need to keep that mourning to yourself in your own room. You got to let it out in a healthy way, but not take it out on your kids, and not have your kids be the ones who have to carry that burden, because that's your burden to carry. And as tough as this is to hear, and I hate to say it, but you're going to have to get over it pretty quickly, because you need to be the strong one for your child. And it's okay to give yourself some space to deal with what you need to deal with, but then you got to turn right back to your kids and be the strong one for them, because that's what they need. Once you get over this grief of grieving the child that you don't have, the experiences that you'll never get to have, it's time to start really looking at the experiences that you are going to have, because that's where the magic happens. Once you can accept what is not, you can begin to accept what is. Now, I had dreams of my family of my son being a Boy Scout, my daughter maybe being a Boy Scout, which almost got to happen. I had dreams of doing family sing-alongs because I was a musician, and having to mourn the fact that my children are isolated from social groups like that. It's just happened. You know, people can't handle children with Tourette's, children who who are struggling, who have struggles and challenges that people don't understand. And it is really tough to have to come to terms with that. But once I accepted that, okay, they're not going to be scouts. They don't like music as much as I love music, and I found an outlet for that. I started, singing karaoke on my own or playing the ukulele in the backyard now. But once I came to terms with that and I realized those were my struggles, that wasn't their struggles, then I started to notice what they could do. My kids are both really, really great with computers. And I get that there's a lot of people out there who would probably judge the amount of time that I let my children be on computers, but we're on isolation right now, so those people really aren't part of my life, so I don't care. My kids are great with computers, and it's a rainy Saturday today, so they're getting a chance to really explore and learn, and they're teaching me things constantly. We play a lot of board games. My kids are both really good at strategy, and it's wonderful. My daughter loves cats, loves them, and constantly wants to pretend that she is a cat. For a lot of people, this was really tough because it was disruptive in a normal classroom, despite the doors, to the office saying all are welcome. I had a group of parents that ganged up to have my daughter removed from the school where all is welcome. That was really tough, and bringing her home was a challenge, especially with her being a kitty all the time, until I started to realize that, oh wow, actually when she's a kitty, it's because kitties make sense to her, because animals make sense. So we started to learn more about kitties and grow in that. And I got to pretend to be a kitty with her. And you know what? I loved it. It was really cool. She still pretends to be a kitty, and I've come to a point where I just embrace that. And it's wonderful. So if your kids are doing things that are getting on your nerves, that are annoying you to no end, I need you to understand, first of all, they're not doing it to you. Okay? They're doing it because that's who they are. And you need to accept that and embrace that, because it's a beautiful thing. And I know it's hard, but we don't have a choice right now. So you've got to step up. You got to find that, and you've got to find that love. Let's see, what else did I want to share with you today? Oh yeah, so being in isolation, especially now, because the thing is we've been having to go to lots of appointments and lots of social obligations, and right now all of those social obligations are like gone. And it's been, honestly, it's been easier because behavior isn't really a thing. I mean, it's not even part of our vocabulary right now. Behavior is a social expectation from other people. And I don't need to worry about that, because I just expect that my children are great people. And the more that I set that expectation that they're just great people who want to do better, they rise to that. So let me give you a concrete example. My son and I used to fight profusely around bedtime because there was a societal expectation that I would get him to bed by 8:30, 9 o'clock. Now, he just wanted to finish his game that he was playing, but I was tired. So I, tried to wait up and say, okay, fine, I'll wait up for you to finish, but I'm going to sit right here until you finish that game. And it would just become this on and on thing. Well, finally, I just had to level with him and say, dude, look, I really don't want you staying up late, but I'm tired and I need to go to bed and I need you to get up at this certain time. So can I trust you that you're going to turn off your computer and go to bed at the end of your game? He said, yeah. Now, the first, he did try to push this a couple of times. And when I found out that he hadn't fulfilled what he said he would, I didn't fight him. I didn't punish him. I didn't do all the things that, you would think that I would do. I simply said to him, wow, I trusted you and you broke that trust. And I feel really disappointed. That's all it took. Okay, I didn't need to set, this expectation that, oh, I'm mightier than you, or I can force this to happen. You don't need to do that because you can't. And kids know that. But they want to please you. And I know that sometimes that's hard to really believe, because it feels like they're against you sometimes. But I promise you they're not. Kids want to be good. And if they're not being good, or they're not fulfilling your expectation, there's a really good reason. Either they don't understand something, or they're lacking some kind of skill, or there's some other challenge going on. And this is the time. You have all the time in the world right now to break it down. Let's go to communication, not to punishment. Let's really get in there and understand our children as people, as fellow human beings. That's been really powerful. Another example that I've found is there have been times that my children won't say bad words. Now, that's not a huge deal, but some families really find that to be offensive. And so what I've done is I'll stop and I'll say, oh, did you mean to say that word? Did you know that was a bad word? Not the immediate, wanting to punish, but more of, society doesn't really like that. Maybe we could rephrase that. And it's not giving into that immediate impulse of wanting to be like, what did you say? But really stopping. Or if your child says something that's hurtful, like, I hate you, or, I wish you weren't my mom. And kids will say that. And it hurts. And that's the time to stop. Say, wow, that really hurts. And leave it at that, okay? We're going to be under the same roof with these little people for a long time, and we've got to make it work. So that's where we need to start. Now, I'm going to go down one more tangent. My last tangent has to do with homeschooling, because I know a lot of you out there are like, I'm forced to homeschool and I don't really know what I'm doing. Well, homeschool is a very, very broad thing. You're probably getting some distance learning from your school. There's probably a lot of structure to it. And it may feel very overwhelming. I get it. So I'm going to challenge you to go to your state's content standards. Google your state's content standards. So for me, it would be California content standards for 4th grade and California content standards for 2nd grade. And just look at what your child needs to know, okay? Throw out all the curriculum, throw out everything. Just look at what does your kid need to know by the end of the year? Do they need to know how to add and subtract? Do they need to know about the state missions? That's one of the things my son right now, he's supposed to learn about California history. Then this is the key right here. Give your children some unstructured time. Watch what they do. Watch what they do in Minecraft. What do they do when they're playing? My daughter was playing school the other day and did all the math lessons that I felt she needed. She gave them to herself. It blew my mind. I was like, sweet, check off the content standards. See, kids are natural little sponges. They want to learn. And when we give them the freedom to learn, which is what we have right now, we give them we have the internet at our fingertips. I mean, how much would we have, I would have killed for this when I was a kid. I got to go to the library once a month and dive into an encyclopedia. Now we have the internet at our fingertips. There's no reason why children should be isolated from information. All right, we've got all of this. So instead of trying to mold your child's activities, or how should I put it, instead of trying to take pieces of your child's activity and work them into the structured curriculum, I want you to take the content standards and work them into what your child is already doing. It is amazing. And for those of you who are at home working parents, you can do this. You can completely homeschool your child this way and still have plenty of time to work. I know it's tough, but it can be done. Children want to teach themselves. It's great. I will say that when you give children the freedom to do this and you let go of a lot of these things we've been holding on to, you're going to find that you have a very messy house. That's going to happen. The reason why I'm in front of a green screen right now with this beautiful, clean apartment behind me is because I am not about to show you my real house right now, okay? But let me tell you, nobody's coming over to visit. And I go around making sure it's not gross. Yeah, I pick up the dirty dishes and stuff like that, clean the litter boxes. But for the most part, it's cluttered with toys everywhere. And it just goes to show that we've got imagination happening. All right. So, I mean, I'm not saying let your house go horribly, you know, you got to live in it. You got to be happy with it, but let some of it go. Let go of your perfection. Let go of trying to do this perfectly. Let go of your perfection of yourself. And when you find that you lose it, because you will, apologize to your kids. Let them see your human side. Let them see that mistakes are okay to make. We've got a long time that we're going to be under this roof with these little people. And we can spend it hating them, wanting to get rid of them, or we can spend it growing our relationships with them to much, much greater depths and learning about ourselves and learning about our relationship to these little people who we've been blessed with. And I'm just going to leave you with one thing. My gratitude, absolute gratitude right now for everything that I've been blessed with, for all of the challenges that we've had throughout the years, for all of the times that we were snubbed at play dates or kicked out of schools or all of those things. They led us to this point. I'm so grateful, so grateful. I would not choose to be with anyone else but my children right now. I wouldn't even want to be alone. I love them so much. And I'm grateful. I'm grateful for every challenge that we've ever had because it's prepared us for this point in time. And I know that it's tough right now for many of you out there, but I also want to give you the hope and the promise that you can only grow from this. You can only become better people and stronger families. So thank you. Thank you, moms and dads, for all that you're doing out there. And I hope that this will give you some framework to move forward. And God bless you.